Hey folks, I'm John. Today I'm going to talk to you about image resolution. If you've ever worked with photographs at all, you've probably heard the term high res, low res, 72 dpi, 300 dpi. All of these have to do with what's referred to as the resolution of an image. Now, a lot of people use the word resolution to describe the quantity of information in an image, how large the image is on the vertical and horizontal axis. This is an incorrect usage of the word resolution, and it tends to cause a lot of confusion. To clear this up, we need to discuss pixels first. You probably already know that all digital images are made up of pixels, teeny tiny little blocks of color. When thousands and thousands of these pixels are placed next to one another and viewed from a distance, our brains are tricked into thinking we're seeing a seamless image instead of just colored blocks. A professional camera will produce an image that contains roughly 12 million pixels. That is an image that is 4,000 pixels across the long dimension and 3,000 pixels across the short dimension. Multiply those together, you get 12 million pixels, or 12 megapixels. Now, a lot of cameras will produce an image that's much larger than that. Even the phone in your pocket is going to create an image in the 12 megapixel range. An image that large is what we refer to as high resolution. Now, before I explain what we can do with this information, we need to discuss one other thing: DPI. Many people use DPI and PPI interchangeably. They may say that a 300 DPI image is high resolution or a 72 DPI image is low resolution. In reality, you can't actually describe a digital image using DPI. DPI stands for dots per inch. PPI stands for pixels per inch. DPI is used when referring to a printed image, and PPI is used when referring to a digital image. All printed images are applied to that surface using dots of ink, whereas all digital images are displayed on a screen using pixels. But here's where it gets a little bit tricky. Every surface that can display an image, a monitor, a tablet, a cell phone, a textbook, a magazine, a piece of photographic paper, all have a minimum number of dots or pixels that need to be contained in every inch of surface space for our brains to believe we're seeing a seamless image. If an image is displayed on a surface using fewer dots or pixels per inch than that minimum number, we are able to differentiate between those individual blocks of color, and it looks like this. Now, different surface types require different minimum numbers. The majority of digital screens like your computer, phone, or tablet need to display 72 ppi or pixels per inch to convince your brain you're seeing a seamless image. Lower-end mass-produced printed material like a magazine, textbook, or business card usually require a minimum of about 150 dpi or dots of ink per inch of printable surface. High-end prints, like a professionally printed photograph, require 300 or more dots per inch to appear seamless. So if an image is displayed on a screen, we can differentiate between two individual pixels as long as there are fewer than 72 unique pixels displayed for every inch of screen surface. If we're talking about something like a magazine, you can actually see the individual dots with your bare eyes if you look really close. They become blatantly obvious under magnification. For a professionally printed image at 300 dots of ink per every inch of space, the image appears seamless, even under magnification. Now, you may have already known some or all of what we've just gone over, but the next part is where a lot of the confusion happens. To sum it up, the resolution of an image is completely arbitrary unless you also factor in the final dimensions at which the image will be displayed. The easiest way to explain this is to jump into Photoshop. Here we have a high-resolution image. If we navigate to Image, then down to Image Size, we can see the pixel dimensions of the image file. We see that this image is 4,000 pixels across the long dimension and 3,000 pixels across the short dimension. We see that this image is 13 1/3 inches wide and 10 inches tall. If we go down one more line, we also see that our resolution is set to 300 pixels per inch, or PPI. We have an image that is 4,000 pixels by 3,000 pixels, giving us 12 million pixels in the image, and its resolution is 300 PPI. It's a large image that is, by all accounts, considered to be high resolution. But let's make one little change. Let's change our resolution from 300 to 72. We immediately see that the width and height of the image have more than tripled, but if we look up here, you'll see that the pixel dimensions are the exact same. Here, I'll change the resolution back to 300, then back to 72. The pixels never change. So what's going on here? If we change the resolution of an image to 72, it's supposed to be low resolution, a much smaller image. How can the image be low resolution, have the same number of pixels, and more than triple in dimension? Well, there are two things happening. First, Notice this little chain link on the left. It's connecting all three lines, the width, the height, and the resolution. If I change one of the numbers, the other two change accordingly. By changing any or all of these lines, I am doing nothing to change the size of the image. In fact, when all three of these lines are linked, the image size window in Photoshop isn't supposed to change a single thing about your picture. What it's actually doing is showing you how large you can reproduce the image on various surfaces. On a digital display like a monitor, this image could be displayed at 55.5 inches across without losing any clarity and without the individual pixels in the image becoming discernible. If I wanted to print this picture on a mass production printer to make something like a poster, I could change my pixels per inch, or PPI, to 150, and I would be able to see that this picture could be reproduced at 26.5 inches across by 20 inches tall. And if I wanted a high quality photographic print, I could change the PPI to 300, and I would be able to see that the image could be printed out at 13 1/3 inches across by 10 inches tall. And if you were watching up there, you saw that the pixels of the image, that is the finite amount of information in the image file, never changed. Regardless of what we set the resolution or dimensions of the image to, the actual size of the file never changes. But remember, I said there were two things going on. The image size window, as we have it set right now, is not designed to change the size of the image. It is only providing you examples of how large this particular image can be reproduced on assorted surfaces. However, if we click this box next to the word resample, some things change. First, you'll notice that the resolution is no longer linked to the dimensions of the image. In this case, if I change the resolution from 300 to 72, the number of pixels in the image gets smaller. That means that if you have resample on, you change the width and the height, or the resolution, you're also changing the finite amount of information in the image. In the event you are changing the number of pixels in the image file, you only ever want to make this image smaller. Also, side note, be sure to save this image as a secondary file so you don't overwrite the high-res image with the low-res version. It's rare that you'll ever want to increase the pixel dimensions of an image file past its original size. Doing this is known as upresing and happens by creating new pixels or blocks of color in an image that never originally had them. If you were to take a low-resolution image, such as this one that's only 300 pixels by 200 pixels, and increase it to 3000 pixels by 2000 pixels, all those new pixels you just added to the picture were never there to begin with. And while Photoshop did its best to estimate what color should be applied to the new pixels, the result is still this blocky, blurry mess. In short, the pixels in your image are finite. That's how many there are. You can throw some away to make a smaller image, but you can't create them from nothing to make a larger image. If someone asks you to provide an image with a specific resolution, always ask for the pixel dimensions. And if you're in the image size dialog, watch out for that resample button. If it's off, you're not affecting the actual size of the image, only previewing how large it can be reproduced on various surfaces. If it's on, you're changing the number of pixels in the image. Hey, thanks for watching. Click here to subscribe, be the first to know about new tutorials, walkthroughs, and processes. My name's John, and I'll see you later.